Thank you all for being here. The congressional oversight and investigative work does not need to be an adversarial activity. We expect, require, and need cooperation. For this to happen, it takes effort, communication, and good faith. Mr. Cummings and I have worked together quite well. We've taken each other's views and ideas into consideration. We don't always agree, but we try as best we can to not be disagreeable. Our cooperative approach to oversight has yielded results. The committee has come a long way in a year. Last month, we adopted a 195-plus page joint investigative report on the Secret Service, and together we have written roughly 200 joint letters asking for documents, information, and testimony. Generally, when we send a letter, it's not a thank you note or a Christmas card. Generally, a letter from the Oversight Committee is a little bit more, a little tougher than that. The fact that we have done more than 200 of these joint letters, I think, speaks a lot to the approach that we're trying to take. But we also need cooperation from the agencies themselves. It might be helpful at this point to clarify our expectations so witnesses understand what we mean by cooperation. You know, we're different in the United States of America. We are open and transparent. We are self-critical. That's why back in 1816 or so, the Congress actually formed this committee. It was under a different name, and it has grown and expanded and contracted and gone through a variety of different names along the way. But the function of oversight has been here since the foundation of our nation. And a long, long time ago, people felt it wise to look at every expenditure made by the Federal Government. So when the committee sends a request, we expect an honest effort to identify and collect the records that are responsive. We expect communication. We expect to be kept informed and to be straight with us. And we'll expect that you'll work with us in a good faith, which basically means when you make a commitment, do what you say you're going to do. Republicans and Democrats share the goal of a more efficient and effective government that serves the people. We have to ensure that every taxpayer dollar is spent responsibly. And we do that by conducting oversight of the executive branch and examining government programs and policies that affect every American. Mr. Cummings and I and our predecessors here at the committee didn't invent the concept of this oversight of the executive branch. It comes from the Constitution. It comes to the right of accessing, and it comes from the need to be responsive as we represent the people of the United States of America. Today we're going to hear from a group of senior legislative liaisons from 5 different agencies, all of which have particularly troublesome track records when it comes to cooperating with the committee's requests for information. I'm somewhat sympathetic to the idea that they get bombarded, not just by us, but from so many different committees, not only in the House, but in the Senate as well. It is a large task, particularly with agencies that you represent that are so massive and so big, spending literally billions upon billions of dollars of taxpayer dollars. The Department of Homeland Security has been invited to discuss our requests related to the Secret Service and the TSA. TSA has consistently failed to meet our production requests and has ignored basic fundamental requests such as appearing at hearings. On April 17th of last year, we invited the administrator to testify at a hearing scheduled for a month later. The day before the hearing, the administrator backed out and cited a scheduling problem. Yet we had a month's notice. We invited the Justice Department to address position on withholding the memos that guide its investigative personnel when dealing with GPS tracking devices. We also hope to get an update on our requests about the complete Lois Lerner files. An official with the State Department is here to address persistent troubles we've had in securing documents for our embassy construction investigation that will be entering its 3rd year. When State doesn't produce materials, it almost always in a half-hearted way with a smattering of documents for 1 or 2 discrete requests, and usually none for most, and that's very problematic. There's a story out today about providing inaccurate information as it relates to Hillary Clinton and her emails. We're going to ask you some questions about that. The Office of Management and Budget is here to address its response to a subpoena I sent for materials from its OIRA component, the Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs, related to the Waters of the United States rulemaking. OIRA is an office created by Congress, and its job is to review, draft, and proposed regulations. To create the appearance that it has cooperated with the committee, OMB reflectively offered the number of pages of documents it has produced. To my fellow members, here's a flashing signal that maybe there's a problem. When they want to talk about the number of documents they produced, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the percentage of documents that you produced. It's a little trick to say, oh, we've provided 100,000 of this or 50,000 of that. Tell me what percentage of the documents we get. Because if we want 100% of the truth, we're going to need 100% of the documents. And until we get them, it makes us think that you're hiding something. The Office of Personnel Management has been invited to discuss its effort to produce materials responsive to the data breach investigation. OPM has unduly burdened the committee investigators by applying unnecessary and unexplainable redactions. Basic publicly available information has been repeatedly redacted by OPM. In some cases, our investigators have found answers more readily by reviewing the FedBizOps website. The extraordinary lengths OPM has gone to keep basic information for the committee leaves us with the conclusion that perhaps they're having a lot to hide. If something's embarrassing, that's not a reason to keep it from the Congress. A successful working relationship between the Congressional Committee and the executive branch agencies require effort, communication, and good faith on both sides. We need transparency. We need to work together. You have a lot of good staff and a lot of good people. We're not here to disparage any one person's reputation, but we are here to get answers. And we need to make sure that we get those documents so that we can do our job serving the American people, and we need your help in doing so. With that, I'd now like to recognize the ranking member, Mr. Cummings.